Thanks.
Thanks very much, Michael, and hello everyone. It's a pity I can't see who's in the room, but I can see a few people online as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this project that I've been working on. It's an ongoing project and it keeps growing as we go along.
So we get
just a quick little bit about me. As Michael said, I've been in the area for 30 years or more, and now I'm supposed to be doing this more like that's what I did last week. I was up in the Kimberley, so that was very nice, and hope to do more of that sort of thing soon. But I'm still doing a few things, like I've got some PhD students. I'm still editor of the Adult Learning Maths Journal, and I'm involved in this project. I'm linking it to another numeracy framework project that Raquel, and hopefully she's online and she can say hello in a minute. So I keep my finger in a little bit for a little while, see how long I go. But if other people who are in the team want to say hello, I know Leanne's here online and she's not well. So Leanne, you can just go like this if you don't want to say hello, because it might start a coughing fit. But I'm not sure who else is there. But Michael, you might say hi.
Hi everyone, Michael Brickhill dialing in from Lismore in the Northern Rivers, New South Wales, from Southern Cross University.
And excuse me, hi everyone, I'm Raquel. I'm joining online as well from Springfield in Brisbane, and really looking forward to hearing more about this two-day workshop. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's all we have, and Leanne's there as well. Okay. So it's looking back at some of the stuff I've been doing, this quote still reverberates with me. I'm not sure if anyone knows Peate Galbraith or Gail Godden. This a long time ago. And when we're looking at the lack of research in the area of this transitions or support area in mathematics, they said back there it was a result of isolation and lack of connection with a research culture or partnership. And now it's a concern that we are individually doing things and we don't have the advantage of a more powerful, more comprehensive joint research and development base. It rings true today as well, particularly in this area. However, groups like FYI Maths is a great example of this important connection that we need in this support area. Sorry, I have to move my thing around. So back when I did have a job and some money, I employed someone to do a desk audit in 2023, and that was quite interesting. And I'll just give you a few results of that. So we asked I was interested in 5 main things. First of all, could you find some sort of numeracy specific learning support on the website, on a website at each university? And yes, 39 of the 42 we could. However, 14 of those, it was pretty hard to find anything related to mathematics. Could you find some preparatory bridging type program which had some mathematics in there? And yes, again, we could find about 24, but unless I had a sort of a whole essay on what the difference is between preparatory, bridging, and then enabling, that was very confusing. So the next question was, are there enabling programs around? We could find 12, which had a maths enabling course. It didn't mean to say there weren't more, it's just so hard to find some of these things. The fourth question was around workshops. Could we find workshops that were related to mathematics or numeracy? And again, we could find 18, but a lot of these sorts of things were underneath the umbrella of the university, and you had to be enrolled in the university to find that data. So we couldn't necessarily find things. One of the last things I was interested in was around this assumed knowledge thing, which has been rolling around the place for a while. And did universities have an assumed knowledge statement? Now, while we could find about 20 of them, a lot of them again were only at a course level. No, there's a course prerequisite here, or a course assumed knowledge statement. So not necessarily the truth. My research assistant did email each university like a general help query, and sometimes we got some answers and sometimes we didn't, and sometimes they didn't know what we were talking about. So it wasn't generally well answered that. So I was left with something I had spent money on and something I couldn't publish really. So what to do? Apart from just go on holidays. So I wanted to confirm things from that audit, and there were additional questions that I wanted to ask. So I belong to a group called in the Association for Academic Language and Learning, AALL, and they've got a special interest group for maths advisors. And this is where I asked people, would they like to help? And then I knew a few people as well. So that's where I've got Michael, Ken, Josh, Leanne, Raquel to help with this. So if I wasn't going to try and email and interview and talk to 40 different people. In fact, it's probably more like 60 different people. And also I eventually got in contact with AMSI, Australian Mathematical Sciences Institute, and said, would you be interested in publishing such a report and helping out? So I've got Sophie Kennedy on board from AMSI to assist as well. So it's good. There was obvious interest. So we first emailed them and said, this is the audit we found. Is this right? And would you be interested in either follow-up interviews or follow-up email or interview? And we did. We got lots of replies. We're still finalising all of that. We also looked at certificates and diploma programs as later on in this audit to try and find out how that, because that often links with enabling as well. And another interesting thing that emerges, thing called a STAT test, the Skills for Tertiary Admissions test, and that's run by, oh gosh, it's an interesting thing. Different folk in Western Australia, something called TISC. In South Australia, it's something called SATAC. In Queensland, it's QTAC. In Victoria, it's VTAC. And there's and UAC in New South Wales, I think. And I think the test is run by ACER. And I don't know, it's a bit of a mystery, that one. I don't even know how many people go through it or they get access to the university. I haven't been able to ascertain that as yet. But anyway, we basically had these extra questions to ask the folk that we found. Excuse me. Some of them were just confirming the questions from the audit. Some were extra questions around things like pass or land tide, or just what's your relationship with other people at the university. And yeah, it took quite a while to get this information and get the right people. So I'll just give a bit of a summary of what our information is so far. So we've got about, we did find about 33 universities who had a specific numeracy support, like we'd say, yes, we could identify specific numeracy support. And again, all of these, I wanted a yes, no answer, and it's hard to find some of these. So enabling, Leanne, if she had a voice, would be able to tell me about the pain of trying to figure out what the hell an enabling program is. Even certificate, that's certificate diploma programs. Sorry? Certificate diploma programs. And what are bridging programs, what are workshops. So we were trying to get an enabling program is like this big, and a bridging program is a bit smaller, and workshops are smaller again. I think that's one not a definition, but the idea of what these three things could be. And so we're still trying to find some of these are still unknown. Yeah, so it's just the bare bones. And what's really interesting that we're going to spend a bit more time on is what people were saying about the support provision, particularly around question 1. So what sort of numeracy support is there? And quite often, if the numeracy support is linked to the bridging programs, the workshops, the nursing support, the PASS, the Landtite, etc., then you tend to get quite a strong and articulated numeracy support at that university. But it depends. It depends on so much. So we had some issues. How are we going with time? Michael, you'll tell me when we've got 10 minutes to go. I'm hoping to have. Yeah. These three statements come from a definition. There's a whole 3-page definition of what enabling means from the Association of Enabling Educators of Australia. So obviously they have a bit of trouble with what enabling means. And they say there's no formally consistent definition of enabling education in Australia, higher education. And they talked about what an enabling course or program is, and I think the essence of it is non-award, helping students with the prerequisite knowledge and skills, which is a problem in itself, that word. But they also said that enabling also education includes educational pathways and educational initiatives. And if you look at educational pathways and educational initiatives, that's sort of what we're looking at. Now, the academic learning support across the university, what is it? So in the broader sense, enabling is sort of saying the same thing as what we are trying to do. But in the narrow sense, enabling programs are just these non-award. But even that's confusing, because you can have fee-free and fee ones, and but under the definition, a definition in 2003, its students pay no fees in accordance with the agenda. But it's quite restrictive on what that is, and so there's a enabling provision for each university, and they've been allocated an enabling load, and which is capped. So trying to get information from each university about that, and how then it's linked to maybe these courses might be offered somewhere else, or they might be offered here. It's a nightmare, that one. Another issue is around what is the support? Are we actually getting all the support? Are we finding all the support? So in nursing, for example, apart from, oh yeah, we used to have a lot of support, but we don't anymore. Or they say, oh yes, we've got MedSafe. Well, that's not really support, that's just an online program. Similarly with education, with Landtite, there's a lot of good online support I can find around, and some universities pull all that together and say, here's some good support, and some of them actually say, okay, and we also offer, you know, maths learning support or something, and sometimes not. And then there's others. Each area, like engineering, business, statistics, might or might not offer support through a learning support area or somewhere else. And I've sort of included a stats consultancy unit because it is support. It's mainly for postgraduate students, but I was interested in, do you have one, and does it cost, and how do you pay for it? Another issue that came up was time dependent. So depending on when we ask the question, do you have maths learning support? They say, well, yes and no, we used to, or yes, we will, or things like that. Or, oh, well, next year we plan to do this. And then the issue of prerequisites, which comes up all the time, and I'm sure has been discussed already. at the workshops. And for example, I think the University of Sydney is still removing their maths prerequisites. So that's also an issue for us, is saying, okay, when we have to have it very time dependent for our report. And then capturing all the support's very much a slippery eel. Talking to the right people. Raquel and Michael, you would concur here that I think, Raquel, you're the one that's still trying to find the right people into a couple of universities. Or we thought we might, maybe we think we found the right people, and people, I don't know, even here today might say, oh, no one's contacted me and I've got things to say. So we're just not sure whether we have still talked to all the right people. So what's next? We still have to put our findings together. We have, I think we finished interviewing and talking to people, but maybe not. I think one of the findings we'll put together is around some good models out there, but it has to be fit for purpose. So it doesn't, you know, the size of the university, the online versus on campus, the types of students you have, and like how much money have you got really to be able to afford to do these things. Hopefully, I think a couple of people are going to present at Delta later in the year, which is great. I'm not. I'm just going to maybe come down and have a cup of coffee with someone down there in Brisbane. And the report with AMSI hopefully will come out as well. We're still working through another issue around what to publish now, because it's quite, while most of the data is publicly available, so that shouldn't be a problem. We're still working through the ethics on any more data that's available. So Raquel and Michael, unless you've got anything else to add, we've then got some time for questions with a bit of luck. Oh yeah, and that's what's next for me as well. Just to make you even a little bit more jealous. That's up in the Kimberleys.